I took a photograph of it and I presented it to the committee. They just looked at it.
And that was the sign in.
It sort of threatened mayhem to anyone who took a dog or any animal into the cemetery.
Yeah.
And this would be enforced by the Boston equivalent of parking inspectors, but also by their equivalent of the federal police.
Oh wow.
So they were serious about preserving their monuments.
Yeah, because I guess American history is quite dominant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So here, it's all around us here, but people come in, they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just wondering, can you tell me a bit more about this cemetery?
Well, there's 3,785 people that we know of who are buried in here.
Okay, because Matthew said 3,500.
37, it's on the plaque at the entrance.
Yep.
Down there, 3785.
What's the earliest grave here?
Of those 3785, over 2/3 are children. So over 2,000 children here.
Wow. Is there a reason for that?
Well, back in the 19th century, doctors wouldn't accept that cholera and typhoid was waterborne. They said it was airborne. And they didn't come away from that opinion as a body until about 1905, just after the Boer War.
Wow. And what set off this typhoid?
Cholera and typhoid, smallpox, diphtheria. They used to come in epidemic form.
Wow.
And there's one case over in Clemzig. There's a Lutheran cemetery in Clemzig. It's closed now, but back in the 19th century they had either scarlet fever or diphtheria through their kids, and they had to come here and ask permission to put them in here because there isn't enough room in their own cemetery.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
here,
Yeah.
and I suspect along the bottom wall there are about 20 odd children from Clemzig.
Yeah, because I used to go to St Andrews as a kid. We used to jump the wall and when we had fire drills.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so this cemetery is sort of like been with me for life, of course.
Yes.
But tell me something like, you know, when you hear of the plague over in Europe and stuff like that, when they died, the disease, does the disease still stay in the body, do you think, when it's there?
So I think it dies. That's only my personal opinion. I'm
Yeah.
not medical. But I don't think it lives on to come out and attack anyone who digs a grave up.
Yeah, because I was just wondering whether, like, even after 200 years, if the body's still around, you know.
The body wouldn't be around.
No?
Not unless it was embalmed in a perfectly dry environment. Because when in Reims Cathedral, about 30 odd years ago, they opened up, they had to move a grave there of an archbishop who died in 14 something or other.
Yeah.
So, and he was always regarded as a bit of a saint. So one of the markers of someone being a saint is that their body doesn't degrade and rot away. It sort of tends to hang around a bit longer.
Wow.
And they opened his coffin up, but they found he turned on his side and he'd eaten the flesh on his forearm from his wrist to his elbow. So they thought, maybe that's a sign he wasn't such a saint.
So have anybody's been exhumed here? Has anyone ever dug down?
Not that I know of.
Because I've always wanted to know how long a body lasts in a grave. I know that sounds morbid, but...
Oh, I don't know, I'm not to think of that one.
Yeah.
It goes through, what is it? Liquidation, putrefaction and liquidation.
Yeah.
Liquidation is when it falls off the skeleton.
Ooh.
You can only pick that up in hearsay from television programs.
Oh, okay, righto.
We've got about 100 German graves here.
Okay.
And the average is about 4 per grave, so about 400 Germans buried here.
Right.
But that was a time before Germany became Germany. It was still a collection of duchies and dukedoms and princedoms and whatever you call it.
Okay.
But people say, oh yeah, they all came from East Prussia, and they were all Lutherans, but they weren't. The majority of them here came from Hanover.
Ah, right.
Because you've got to remember that Queen Victoria was a princess of Saxe-Coburg, which is family's based in Hanover,
Mhm.
and Prince Albert, her husband, is also a Prince of Hanover.
Okay.
And I think that they were second cousins. It's getting a bit close. Second cousins. So consequently, there was a big to-ing and fro-ing between Britain and Hanover,
Yep.
state of Hanover.
Yeah.
I think it was a state, not a principality.
Okay.
So a lot of them came out from Hanover. There are people in here, no doubt, from East Prussia
Yep.
who want to maintain the old style of Lutheranism.
I think there's still some around these days. They still speak the old guttural German.
Do they?
Yeah, I think they're more in the Adelaide Hills area though, but
Yes.
don't quote me on that. So,
See that one there with the pillar thing on it? That's a German grave.
oh right, yeah,
The
yeah,
one
I
with
see
the
it.
cross towards it's a German grave, and the inscriptions are in German.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a trio of tall graves. See them in the far distance there? One,
Yep.
2, 3.
yeah.
That's German grave.
Oh,
the German
just
inscriptions.
in there, in between the cross and the telephone pole. Is that the one?
Yeah, can you see 3 of them in
Yeah,
a row,
yeah,
right in
yeah,
the far
yeah.
distance?
Telephone pole, I should
Yeah.
say, lamp post
That's,
actually.
that's quite a bit of gossip there.
Oh,
I don't know
what's
what
going
to
on
tell you
there?
Well, there's this man and his wife are buried in the same grave, and there's a 20-year-old, she was 20 when she died, alongside them,
Yeah.
a young woman. And I think that she was the offspring of the man with another woman.
Okay.
And the young woman died first,
Yeah.
and his wife, legitimate wife, was not very happy that this young woman was in the grave alongside him.
As you would.
And there's another grave down there with a massive iron railings around it.
Yeah. I think that's the one under the tree, is
That's
it?
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Fanny Wigg is in there
Yeah.
with her children. And I think she was the third wife of Mr. Wigg. But alongside her is a blank space, but there's someone buried in there,
Okay.
and it's the family. It's the black sheep of the family who's buried there.
Oh.
So they said, "All right, we'll have him in the grave plot. We won't put a headstone up," and they didn't.
I love all these interesting stories. You don't actually.
Always- I can
You
give
walk through, you just see graves. You don't see what's behind it.
No, I can give you the facts, but it's the gossip that's interesting.
So has the book been written on the cemetery yet?
Oh yes, several books on the cemetery. But not much of the gossip. It's just hinted at as people
Right.
doing
Okay.
Walkerville because-
Okay. But I got it on camera, so I'll put it on YouTube.
We've got one in there, a young girl, aged 4, died in the 1847.
Yeah.
Another child's grave down there in the 1840s.
Yeah. I noticed there's some small ones around.
One there by that tree. That's the oldest recorded interment in the cemetery.
What does that mean exactly?
He's the first one in,
Right.
but he
Okay.
was in before it was. He was in 1847, 1846, before this was officially a cemetery.
Right.
So it
Okay.
wasn't officially a cemetery until 1850. But they came from the Channel Islands. We've got quite a few Channel Islands.
Okay.
in here.
I'm not sure where Channel Islands is.
So between Britain and France, and more towards
Oh,
France
right.
and Britain, but the British court captured it at one stage, and like the British old world, they tend to hang on after their due date. They're the Clelands, they're the 3 Clelands,
Right.
and it's thanks to them that this is still a cemetery and not a public open space as a dog's outdoor toilet. sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they had an existing lease on their plot.
Okay, so
So
what's the
they couldn't be
difference
destroyed.
between Walkerville Cemetery and Medindi Cemetery, which is just down the road?
The Dindy Cemetery, you mean North Road Cemetery?
Yeah,
Well, that's the Anglican one.
that's starting to
This
rain.
one is called the Wesleyan, but they had a policy from day one of allowing anyone in who wanted to come in, which was remarkable in that day and age, because back in those times the Church of England wouldn't talk to the Wesleyans, who wouldn't talk to the Methodists, who wouldn't
Wow.
talk to the Baptists, who wouldn't talk to the Calvinists, and God help anyone who stuck his head over the parapet who was a Catholic. They'd all turn around and bash him.
So
it's
can I-
pretty, So it's pretty pretty good actually.
Yeah.
It's so rare.
It's just a very nice compact cemetery, and
Yes.
it's still old in the middle of a modern city now.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I love
And
it.
the person whose family started the church over the road are buried in the top corner, the top
Right.
there, in the north corner.
So is that
Obviously the west
is that the
corner.
church down on the?
No, just over on,
Oh right.
like the Wesleyan Methodist.
Yeah. Cool.
They're up there. The Osbornes are in there, and she started things rolling by having the services in a front room where she lived on Church Terrace and corner Church Terrace and Fuller Street. That's where she lived.
Okay.
And we've got the two branches of the Whig family in here, all along the top there.
Yeah.
Whigs who did the grog and the spirits and the wines and the beers. And down the bottom we've got the Whigs who were the government printers.
Yeah.
And you can go and see their place on East Terrace of Theberton.
Right.
You know, yes, Wigan's son, I think it is, government printers. Modern building put up in the 30s from the look of it,
Yep.
the 1930s. But they've been government printers since day one.
Wow. So can I?
That's a personal contact for me because that was a man who was connected with the North China Railways. Well, on my mother's side, she came from a firm, Charles Richards and Sons, from Wolverhampton, Birmingham area, who had a huge factory in Darlaston, like they employed 1,752 makers.
Yeah.
But the family, my grandfather Samuel Richards, was the sales director, and he went out to China at the end of the 19th century to offer them the services of the company to establish railways. And
Wow.
the Chinese said, right, but we want a token of your ability and your good faith. We want a cargo of 500 tons of just the nuts and bolts. So they put the nuts and bolts on a sailing ship, and 3 months later it ended up in Shanghai or something like that. They got the contract for all the railway lines for the North China
Yeah,
Railways.
it says North China Railways on the grey.
Now he would have been an agent at the same time as my grandfather was going around getting the work in. So he would have been an agent
Right.
employed by the North China Railways, but there would have been a tie-up there between him and the Richards family.
Okay.
But interesting, he was a mason with a
Ah,
lodge in Japan.
in Japan. I didn't realise they had lodges in Japan.
I didn't either.
No.
Now, that would have been 19th century. I can't seem to find anyone being a Freemason who would do a bit of research into that, because I wouldn't know where to start, whereas they would.
I could possibly try and find out for you, but yeah.
It would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We got the first policeman over there
Yeah.
who was killed on duty, the first one to be killed on duty.
Okay. And do you know much about the Peglers?
Peglers,
Yeah.
not a lot.
Not a lot? Because she's just back this way. Just in here, this one. I got an email from my uncle last night saying that this lady here was my great grandmother. So
All right,
yeah, so
Peglers.
it's pretty, about every other grave except this one. So yeah,
Yes.
be interesting to see if I can find something on her.
I like to work out when they were born, but he would have been born in 1821. You can imagine what the world was like in 1821 compared to today.
Oh yeah, a lot of difference. No technology.
No technology, motor cars, I don't know, I think Mercedes might have been just starting up. Something primitive. But it was all horses and
Horse and
Carts
cartwheel.
and-
Yeah.
ox carts and things like that.
Age 59 years. So yeah, about 60 years ago.
Yeah, about 1821.
It says...
What's sad, you see headstones here with just rows of children's names, 6 children from the one couple
Yeah.
all died. And then the parents might have their headstone alongside them because there wasn't room on the tombstone.
Wow. So they're all buried in the same grave, or?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We've got graves here where they buried them 11 foot deep, which is what, nearly 4 meters deep,
Yeah.
to allow for succeeding generations.
So how do you know? I
It's
mean...
in the records.
Oh, okay.
The sexton recorded the depth because the grave diggers got paid per foot of depth of the grave.
Right,
You see,
okay.
the rates of like 0 to 5 foot was something, and then 5 to 10, and
Yeah.
over 10. Different rates.
Fascinating. And have you had any weird experiences in here, paranormal or
No.
nothing?
No.
Have you
Used
been-
to have fun with the table grave down there. It's above the ground, 4 sides and a lid,
Mm.
and the end fell in and the side collapsed.
Yeah.
When I first started here in 1999, and I came in to fix it up, and there were 2 schoolgirls on their knees peering inside to see if there's anyone in. But they're not the very normal depth. That's how they did them.
So you've had
So
none.
I fixed the grave up. I had no strength then. I'm a bit older now.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. But each headstone's got a tale. There's the man here who owned this block of land,
Mm.
and he bought it for £10 in the early days, like 1836 or 37.
That'd be a lot of money back then, wouldn't it?
That was a fair bit of money back then, but he eventually sold it to the church as a cemetery, and he let them have it for £12 because he didn't want them to think that he was making a profit out of his own parishioners who had to pass a hat around on Sunday for the collections to pay for things. So he's in there.
Yeah.
There's the man who started the olive oil industry. Just
Okay.
down here over there.
Yep.
That's it, Davenport,
Okay.
Sir Davenport, Margaret Fraser, Lady Davenport. First. It was KCMC or KCMG, I'm not quite sure which.
And who are the other 2 graves in the same?
I don't know. That's a bit
Are they
of a mystery
related?
to me. I don't know. I don't think, you can't tell. They might have a different surname, but
No.
that could be a result of a daughter of the family marrying
Yeah.
out of the family, as it were.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's a headstone over that little one.
Yep.
It's,
Is that another child?
loads of children, and the headstone went missing.
That's a big place.
Yeah. The headstone went missing for years, and there was a policeman who lived in this locality and knew the graveyard a bit.
Yeah.
They were on a drug raid on the
Okay.
York Peninsula, and they found the headstone on the premises. So we brought
So
it
how
back
long
again.
ago was that?
I don't know. When was it mad here? 60s, in the 60s. The hippie generation, when anything went.
So why would they steal the headstone?
Hmm?
Why did they steal the headstone?
I know they might have been high at the time, you know. What do you do? Crazy things.
Okay.
What's interesting about that earliest one
Yeah.
is that it's the only grave plot angled differently to everybody else. Is like
Yeah.
across from that's northwest, pointing down towards southeast.
Yeah.
But he's the only one across, and that's why I'm convinced that's an original grave site.
Right.
Because you can imagine the committee work that would have gone on for a couple of years before they decided to buy the plot, get it registered and all the rest of it. So
There's a lot of
quite
red
few
tape in
ways.
setting up a cemetery, isn't there?
There is now.
Yeah.
And there are about 10 burials in here before 1850, and some people say that they were exhumed from a small graveyard over the road and put in here when this became the cemetery.
Right.
But I'm not convinced about that one, because if he'd been over the road there, they wouldn't have put him parallel
That
to the
way,
wall.
yeah.
He'd have been like everybody else,
Yeah.
according to the plan.
Okay.
And further around, we've got the first milkman in Walkerville. He's
Wow.
buried there.
So there's a lot of history here.
Oh, it doesn't stop. It goes on and on and on.
So you speak to a lot of people who come in here trying to find their relatives and so
Well,
forth?
anyone I see in here, I say, good morning, are you looking for someone, or are you just looking?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Still grab all of them, take them around.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know about you, but I'm high on information now. I'll leave it there. Hang on.